Hello there and welcome to the Card Grotto. Today I've got a tag to share with you using the Altenew Mini Delight Dainty Calla Lily set and a faux watercolour background. So let's get started. This is the Altenew Mini Delight Dainty Calla Lily set. So you get the stamp set and the die set, and it's part of their Mini Delight range, so they are quite small in size but they are really pretty. I happen to really love Calla lilies, I just find them so pretty. So you get the image there and then also some sentiments. So I'm going to stamp out the Calla lily image onto some cardstock. This actually is watercolour paper, and I didn't realise as I was filming and stamping this that it was watercolour paper. I didn't realise until I picked it out of the MISTI. I just decided to go with it, and the good thing with stamping on watercolour paper is that I am actually colouring the image with colour pencils, and colour pencils do tend to work a little bit better on paper that has some tooth to it. So it did work okay, but I had planned on actually stamping it on a different type of cardstock, but never mind. So I've stamped that with Altenew Obsidian Pigment ink, and I'm going to set that aside to dry while I work on my background. So here I've got a piece of watercolour paper, and this time I did intend to use watercolour paper, and I'm using some Altenew small ink blending brushes, and I'm adding some Altenew crisp dye inks onto this. So I'm starting off with this beautiful turquoise colour in the middle, which is called Teal Cave, and then either side of that I'm going to go in with Persian blue. Now this is quite a bit lighter than I wanted in the end result, so I do go back over that with sapphire, but I just wanted to kind of map out the colours to start with. So I'm just adding that on either side, and then I'm going to go in with the Midnight Violet, and I'm going to add that at the top and the bottom. Because my Calla lily image is going to be pretty much kind of white apart from the stems, I wanted quite a vibrant background. I have done this technique in the past with having like a bright background and with Snowdrop's image, and I thought it looked really pretty because you've kind of got like a very plain image and then you've got a vibrant background. I think it works quite well. So here I'm going in with that sapphire colour, and as you can see that's quite a bit darker. I do want to create kind of like a faux watercolour look, and so I'm going to take the Altenew Fine Mister bottle. I really love this bottle with that bow tie on. I think it's quite cute in the tuxedo, and I'm just going to very, very generously spritz this panel of cardstock. And that's just going to meld all of those colours together, kind of like you would do if you were doing watercolouring. So it was a quicker version of me doing a watercolour background. It's kind of half ink blending, half watercolour-ish. I'm then just taking my heat tool and I'm going to dry that. I'm just basically drying it to the touch more than it being completely crisp dry. It is going to bend up as it dries, but then once it dries again, it's going to flatten out with the heat tool. Because of adding that water, it does dilute those colours, so I'm going back in with those ink blending tools and the inks, and I'm just going to really make those colours pop. As you can see here with that purple in particular in this top left hand corner, it really does make it quite a bit more vibrant, and that was the look I was going for. But I did still want that kind of base of the watercolour look, if that makes sense. So I quite like having those two kind of techniques combined. I don't think I would have got the exact same look just with ink blending. So I'm adding in that Midnight Violet at the top and the bottom. And then I'm going to just go back in with the other colours. I wasn't sure if I was just going to do the purple, and decided in the end I'll just go over the whole thing. So going back in with that sapphire and then that Teal Cave in the middle. And I think these colours work really nicely together. I'm then just going to take some water on a paintbrush, and I'm just going to splatter that onto the panel, and that's just going to create a little bit more interest, and those inks are going to react with that water and leave some kind of water droplet spots. So I do just set that aside to dry. Once it's dry, I'm taking the Altenew Terrific Tags dies, and this is one of the medium-sized tags. I'm just going to place that over the panel, just making sure that I've got some of that purple in the top left hand corner and the bottom right hand corner, using some low tack tape to hold that in place, and then I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine. I'm then taking the Altenew Woodless colouring pencils, and I absolutely love the packaging of these pencils. I just think it's so pretty in the cardboard box, and they just look really nice inside as well, I have to say. Altenew does really go the extra mile, I think, with packaging, and I have to say I do appreciate it. So I'm just grabbing some of the pencils that I think I'm going to use, and then I'm going to start colouring the image with the pencils. Now, I first started colouring images with colour pencils, and I did as a child as well. And I do really love using colour pencils, but it does take me quite a long time to use them. So generally I do gravitate towards alcohol markers because they're a little bit quick for me. But I was, you know, I really wanted just to use some different medium for a change, and I thought I'd go with the colour pencil. So this does take me a little while to colour, and I do speed this up quite a bit, but I'm going in with the darkest green to start with on the leaves and the stems, and this is the Shadow Creek colour. And then I'm going to go in with Grass Field, which is kind of like my mid-tone colour. And I'm just going to go over where I've already coloured and then bring that colour in towards the image. I do find with colour pencils you do have to layer them quite a bit to try and get rid of that kind of like white core of the paper. I don't mind that look too much, to be honest with you, because to me then it looks like I've coloured with colour pencils rather than coloured with alcohol markers, for example. But obviously it is a different look. I'm then going to go in with my lightest shade of the green, which is Limeade, and these three colours do work really nicely together. So I'm just going over again kind of like where I've already coloured, and then bringing that colour out to cover all of the white areas. And then I did want a little bit more definition and a bit more shading onto the leaves. So I'm going to go in with Jet Black, and I'm just going to really kind of just use this in a very small amount just around the edges of those leaves, but you can already see here how much of a difference that black makes to the final look of the leaves. So I'm just going to go all around the outside edges. I felt like that would be the darkest area on these leaves. Sometimes I care about light source and sometimes I don't. I'm then going to go back in with the darkest green, which is that Shadow Creek, and just go over that black, and then it's going to make it so it doesn't actually look like black, it's just going to look a bit darker. And then I do go back over the entire leaves with the two other green shades, the Grass Field and the Limeade, and that's just going to kind of blend all of the colours together and just finish off those leaves. I'm then going in with Moon Rock for the flower heads. Because I wanted to keep them looking like they were white, I just want to add a very small amount of this grey just around the outside edges and then sort of on the inside of the flower. Now I do apologise because I'm experimenting with filming on how I'm filming, and my camera did shut off at this point and I missed a lot of the colouring, but I did basically just go around where the lines are of the image, excuse me, trying to think of my words here, and with that grey marker. And then for the stamens, I'm just using some yellow colours. I used a fresh lemon, a maple yellow and paper bag. I'm then taking the coordinating die and I'm just going to place that on top, hold that down with some low tack tape, and then I can run that through my die cutting machine. I'm then going to heat emboss a sentiment, and this is the Altenew Tiny Sentiments Hello set, and all of these sentiments work really well with that hello die, but I'm just using it as a standalone sentiment set, and I thought it'd be quite nice to have You Are the Best. So I stamped that down onto some black cardstock and heat embossed that with white embossing powder. And here I'm just figuring out where I want my elements to be on the tag. Sometimes it takes me a little while to figure out the placement. I decided in the end to have the sentiment sort of towards the bottom right hand corner, and then have the Calla lilies kind of off towards the left slightly. I have cut another of the tag dies from some smooth white cardstock, and I'm just going to adhere that onto the back of the watercolour tag. This is just so that it finishes off the back nicely. If I want to write a message on that, I just think it looks a little bit prettier and a little bit more finished. So I'm just going to line those two tags up and stick them together. And then I can add some foam tape onto the back of the Calla lilies, and this is the Altenew Instant Dimension foam tape. So I'm just cutting small pieces of that and adding that onto the back of the image. And then I can use my tweezers just to remove the backings. I'm then also going to use those tweezers just to help me out adding that onto the tag. So I can just kind of hover that in place, which is why I like using the tweezers. And then once I'm happy, I can press that down. And then I'm going to take some scissors and just cut off the little bit of the stem at the bottom. I'm then going to take some more foam tape and add that onto the right hand side of the sentiment piece, where it's going to overlap onto the tag. I'm then just adding a small amount of cardstock there on top of the foam tape. That's just so that the height of it is exactly the same as over where the image is. And then I can just use some tape runner just to add that on top, and then I can press the sentiment down. I'm then just going to add some twine through the top of the tag. So I fold it in half and pop it through the hole in the tag, feed it through, and then I can tie that in a bow at the front. And I really love this kind of thinner twine, black twine. I use it quite a lot, pretty much for all of my tags. And then once I'm happy, I can just cut those tails of the bow down. And then that is the tag finished for today. I'm going to bring in a card here that I shared over on Instagram for the Altenew Instagram hop for this Mini Delight Calla Lily set. I actually created this first, and then I decided that I would create the tag as part of the video, and I really love that they kind of coordinate together, but they are just slightly different. Links to the products that I used will be in the description bar on YouTube and also over on my blog. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.